beautiful people. Lovely afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us on Keep It Simple again today. We promise you another enlightening and beautiful episode. My name is Oluwakemi, and as usual in the studio, I have the ladies with me, Tolu and Ruki.
Hi.
Hello, guys.
Hi.
How are you doing?
We're fine.
All
right.
It's good to see your faces again.
Exactly.
Always to pay your being here.
Of
How
course.
have you been? Tolu and Blessing.
I'm doing well. I'm fine.
And you, Tolu?
I'm fine too.
I'm loving your eye neck.
I think this I'm fine things like a general
Thank you.
Nigerian answer.
Exactly. But I think people don't even wait to know how they are feeling before they answer. They just say, it's just, I'm fine.
The
That's
person
just the
even
response
asking you the
you're supposed to say.
question, it does not want any
care
answer.
like that.
Exactly. They don't want any detailed answer as well.
Yeah.
So it's just better for you to say, I'm fine, and let's just move on. That's the best thing to do.
It's just
Alright.
courtesy, just acting out of courtesy, not because they
Exactly.
really want
Really.
to know.
But I really wanted to know, how are you
No,
doing?
I'm not saying. I'm
No,
not talking
but
about
that's
general
not- yeah, I
perspective.
was
So there are
speaking from
times
a general
that
perspective, yeah.
I do that sometimes when I speak to a friend I have not spoken to in a long time. And when I ask the question, how are you? I mean, how are you? So you would know that, okay, Tolu really wants to know what's up. Like, I want to do some catching up.
Okay.
But if you just say, oh, how are you? Maybe because we've been talking for, like, we've been talking incessantly for a while. So,
Yeah.
how are you? How are you? Then, but if we've gone on a break, maybe for
Okay.
a while we've not spoken, then I just decided to reach out. How are you? Then you should be expecting. I'm expecting you to give me a download of what
Okay.
has been up with you
All
for a
right.
while.
Okay. I think someone mentioned the other day that it's better for you, if you want to know how a person really is, it's better
Yeah.
to go on, how are you emotionally? You know? And I'm like, oh, okay. So if you really want to know how I'm doing, no, she was saying on WhatsApp, like, ask me, how are you emotionally? Or if you want to know about finance, you can say, how are you financially? You know,
Okay.
so she would know what perspective or what aspect of her life you're truly interested in.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, nobody's really patient to ask you that.
Yeah.
Everybody's in a hurry, man, you know, but it still boils down to communication. So for her, if you ask her, how are you? She feels like, oh, you just want to hear I'm fine. But when you ask her, how are you emotionally? How are you financially? She knows that, okay, you want a download of this
so you have
aspect
to,
of her life.
You
So
have to
she would
include
tell-
emotionally
that's what
or the
she
aspect
feels.
you want
That's
to know
what, no,
about.
whatever aspect you want to
Okay.
include in the question, you know. So that's what she feels, because she feels that a lot of time when people ask you how are you, they're just asking out of courtesy sake. It's not because they're really interested in knowing how you're
It's
doing.
a form of greeting.
Exactly. So if you go the extra mile like that, she feels, oh, that means you're really interested and you're communicating something to me. There's something you really want to know. So she goes all out and tell you exactly what she's going through at that point in time. The interesting thing is, when you now ask her, how are you emotionally? She might even tell you beyond the emotional aspect of her life, because she feels, okay, this person really wants to know. But it all boils down to communication. You know?
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So today is Abraham Kenny's birthday.
Exactly.
It's part of the KIS crew. The man behind the camera.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Kenny
birthday
Abraham.
to you, Kenny.
Many more years
Exactly.
to come.
Amen.
Such a
Amen.
wonderful person. I wish we could have his picture showing on the screen. He's slim. He's
So since
He has
now
a fine
picture, that's a lot
face.
to describe him.
yeah, and he's very diligent at what he does.
Definitely.
Happy birthday to you. Many beautiful years to come.
Amen.
And may God bless your hustle, everything you do. See, I'm praying for you from the bottom of my heart. As you can see me now.
They can see you. They can see you. Actually, we have like lots of men behind the camera, so it's interesting to know that it's not just us that make KIS what it is today. We have people contributing to this show day in, day out.
Exactly.
And we really appreciate them. So this is just an opportunity to celebrate Kenny. We celebrate you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you.
Exactly.
Something happened today on my way to work. Yeah.
Okay.
So a military official saw another guy who was putting on a camo face
Camouflage.
cap.
Okay.
Yeah. So apparently the other guy isn't part of the military.
Wow.
He was just putting on
Wow.
that cap for whatever sake.
Seriously?
Hey, today's drama was
Wow.
something else. The military guy also needs to bring his ID card first of all. And of course, he's not part of them. And like, oh, okay, so why are you putting on a camo? Why do you have this cap on? And you know, I've always heard that if you put on a camo and you're not part of the force,
Yeah.
the forces, you know, they're going to, if they get you, they're going to do one thing or the other. But I've never seen it happen before. But today I saw it, as in the military guy was going to lie inside the gutter.
Seriously?
Please, if you don't know what gutter is, it's drainage. We call it gutter in this part of the world. inside the gutter that the guy should lie inside. I was wearing a white t-shirt. I'm telling you, like, it was crazy. Told him to lie down inside. They beat him mercilessly. I was like, Jesus.
And people are just staring.
You know how it is in Nigeria now.
He didn't listen to his pleading.
Of course, the guy was begging, but
it's just the cap.
Just the cap.
Jacket,
that's all. Just the camo cap. That's it.
Wow.
So why are you putting it on? You're not part of us. So why do you have it on? You know, I'm telling you,
You could have just asked him to remove it.
You know this
Give
country, they don't ask.
The
They don't give
I think it's not done. The fact that you're a military
Like,
personnel doesn't give you the right to infringe on another person's right. It doesn't make sense. Oh, provide your ID card. I am not a military officer. Then why do you have the cap on? Oh, I just have it as my possession, but I can. Then the guy remove it and everybody goes. Must he treat a human as an animal?
I really don't agree with the treatment. To make a point, it doesn't. But you see some of these people too, who use camo when they don't belong to the military. Some of them use it for bad intentions.
Yes,
I'm telling you, and that is why some of these guys, when they get them, they treat them that way.
Yeah.
Some of them have very bad intentions.
But
I'm telling you.
Truly.
So the guy begged. If I love people started begging
whether
for
or
him,
not, even has
I don't agree with the
flag
treatment.
on, whether anybody can still, have ulterior motive.
Of course, definitely.
So, I mean, just have conversation. You are not a military officer, so you shouldn't be wearing this. And the guy, it is.
The truth is that
everybody goes
some of these military personnel,
we
know them to be tough people. You understand? They are not light-handed.
They can't have conversation.
You understand?
They can't have meaningful conversation
and
with
it's a form of holding up to their code of conduct. Wear this. We don't like. You're not part of us. You should not wear it. Everybody knows it. In fact, if you offend a military officer, the way a policeman will treat you is not the way a soldier will treat you. It's so different. True. And we all know it. So the person wearing the cap is the one clearly at fault. If he had not put it on, definitely there would have been no reason for a soldier to just accost you like that. We do not like the treatment here. But people should just take you. You can even see, you will see some guys holding the handkerchief of. They just use it and they pretend that they have. You know exactly. If you put on that cap, you might not pay TIFE.
Of course, no.
Because you are a staff. So they use these things. That's what they call them. They call them staff. So imagine that guy sitting inside the bus now and they are saying the cap on him. They won't collect money.
The conductor won't even ask him.
We won't even ask him. So, seriously, people exploit these things. That's why they are so hard-handed when they catch them.
I still don't.
Sometimes they carry out havoc and you think the person doing it is a true officer. At the end of the day, you now find out the person is actually
The truth is, people still carry out havoc without necessarily having any of this item on.
We are not supporting the treatment. Don't get us wrong.
So
what I feel like better safe than sorry.
See, it's not good when you overgeneralize or when you assume. Just simple conversation would have actually shown the officer the kind of person that guy is. If he has emotional intelligence, people can be into dubious acts or whatever and want to use that as But just just asking him questions would let you know, there is more to find out about this guy. Then you can now take it up. But it could have just been a gentle guy, just going about his business.
I mean, the gentle guy
you don't have it on your head. Nobody tells you that, this person is up to no good or this person is up to some good. We are all just covering ourselves with clothes. I mean, you get what I'm trying to say. So just simple communication tactics is what the officer needs to really know if this guy is up to no good or if he's just a simple guy that probably just made the error of wearing that. And you should it's not everybody you treat like that.
I understand.
And the truth is, wait,
it's not the only way. It's fine. This is not our main discourse for today. I totally understand you. The military is different from civilians. So you need to understand that they have their ways of communicating. Yeah. We as civilians might not agree with what they do at times, but they have their ways of communicating. But to our viewers out there, to avoid trouble,
avoid issues,
don't use camo. This is what Atolu is saying. She cannot defend you, and nobody can.
Nobody can.
They will beat you.
Nobody can. Don't even bring me into this conversation. All right? I'm just saying what my perspective is.
So please, it's better not to use any of those things at all. It belongs to them. If you're not an officer, you should not be seen putting on a camo. That's the moral lesson of today's story. All right, let's quickly go on a short break. When we come back, we'll go into our discussions for today. We'll be right back. back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Still Keep It Simple on Golf TV. Kindly subscribe if you haven't and click on the bell icon so that you can get notifications whenever we go live or we upload new videos. Alright, so our discuss for today, we started a discussion yesterday actually talking about communication etiquette and relationships, and yes, we were not able to exhaust that yesterday, so we felt like, oh yeah, there are other aspects that we've not touched on, and that is what we'll be doing today. So today is like a part 2. Not that we'll be able to conclude it today anyway, but of course it's a part 2. All right, so to quickly give us a summary of what we talked about yesterday, we talked about the do's of communication. Of course, we established what communication is, then the do's of communication, talking about clarity, talking about listening and all of that. So that is gone today. So today, we're focusing on the don'ts. So what shouldn't you do when you want to communicate with others, of course, so as to sustain effective communication in your relationships. So let's begin. So the don'ts.
Okay, so one thing I would like to say is that that's very common with almost everybody is telling lies. I mean, people can just, and some people even endorse it to be white lies. Yeah. You just say something like, oh, it's just a white lie. It's a small lie. Okay. But it's a lie. What you're saying is not the truth.
Sure.
So for you to be able to communicate effectively, you have to be able to remove lies from whatever you're trying to pass on, and then omitting the truth as well.
Okay.
Some people would intentionally omit truth just because they don't want people to understand what they're saying. For instance, now let's say an organization where you're working, and okay, like Tolu, let me give you the job of a secretary, and your boss comes to you you're about leaving for work. You get a mail instantly that you were supposed to respond to immediately. But since you looked at it, you felt like if I respond to this mail, I will spend the next 1 hour in the office, and it's almost your closing time. So you just closed it up, and on your way you see your boss, and your boss is like, "Oh, did you receive a mail? Someone sent, he or she's going to send a mail to you," and you're like, "Oh, I didn't receive it. I didn't receive anything like that." And your boss is like, "Okay, I'll work on it if I see the mail." Okay. What did she just do?
Of course, she lied.
She just lied, and she just told an half truth as well. So I don't think it's good for us to communicate in such manner, especially telling lies. Lies has become something that's so acceptable now that just tell him that you're not there, or tell him. It's so surprising when I'm in a bus and I hear someone, probably I'm at Kate, and I hear someone say, I'm at Lekki already. I'm at your junction. You know, it's something I just look at them and I'm like, oh God, there is God. You're telling someone you're at Lekki and you're still at your bus stop. Imagine, and you know, lots of things like that. People just endorse this thing. I feel like there are some of the don'ts that we should not encourage, especially for young children. As an adult, as a parent, once you start telling lies, you tell your kids that. I remember when I was growing up, and sometimes my mom would be like, I'll go and tell that person that I'm not, Mom, we are around now. So there was one day I was like, my mommy said she's not around. Imagine, the person was like, oh, your mommy said you should say she's not around. When I came out, she slapped me. She was like, I said, say I'm not around. Don't say my mommy said she's not around. Exactly. So for where they are children, we shouldn't encourage such actions.
But how about situations where the lie would actually salvage the situation?
So that's actually tricky.
Wouldn't you like to say the one you love? You know that your lie or you're saying the truth means that the person will go through a treatment that you probably not like, you know. Maybe something will happen. Let's say something disastrous will happen to that person. So you know it's dependent on you lying. What do you encourage us to do?
Seriously, lie is a lie. Your boss. Is what? It's profitable to direct.
Yeah, I don't know about this thing that you just said.
Seriously, I'm just making it like, but I just pray for wisdom at that particular moment. Anybody that finds himself or herself in such a situation, it's not such a nice situation when you have to say the truth and someone would be punished. Wow.
Like,
I can't imagine. I've never been in such a situation, but I don't pray to be. Yeah.
But really, yeah. So saying the truth, and something else came to mind. There are people who feel that silence, of course, we talked about non-verbal communication yesterday. Yeah. Some have said that silence means yes. other people have said silence means no. So if I ask you a question, for example, and you don't say anything, you know, because you feel like saying something, you probably want to lie about it. So you feel, let me just keep quiet, let me not say anything. But there are people who have attributed that silence to either yes or no. Do you think it's, I don't know, do you think it makes sense for you to attribute silence to a particular answer, especially knowing that the person didn't say anything, the person just staring at you?
It depends on, it could also depend on the person's facial expression.
Let's say it's a blank expression.
On the context.
Like nothing. It's a yes or no question and it's just there. And you're just looking at the person and like, answer now, is it yes or no? But you're not saying anything. Maybe because you know that you might lie if you say something.
I think it would be wrong to assume on the part of the sender of the message that is waiting for a response. Okay. It would just be wrong to assume. So that's one of the don'ts in communication. Yes. Assumption, they say, is the lowest level of thinking. If you do not get a verbal response, don't assume. So there are times that, you know, the body language, the non-verbal cues could actually lead you astray. You might be thinking, oh, it looks at me in some certain ways. That means is this or that, but that might not really mean what it is. You get me? So until you get, you know, the spoken words or a written words, don't assume. So if it's a no, yes or no answer and the person is not ready to give a response, you could just leave that and revisit later. Okay. So don't assume. Now talking about let me go back to what Rookie said the other time about lies and all. See, all of these things are things that affect our values. Like it makes us, you know, it makes our values get eroded so fast that we just begin to see things as though they are normal. Like when you find yourself, I mean, I'm trying to really think that, I'm sure I must have been guilty of this thing too. Like I find myself in a situation where I had to just, you know, put up the straight face and lie against, no, like, and my conscience pricks me that, but I just had to save my face or save someone else. Just salvage the situation at that time. But the truth is lie. Sure. And she had rightly said, wisdom is profitable to direct. It depends on the situation. Okay. Like, situation differs, context differs. So you just want to be sure you're doing the right thing. And so far, your conscience is not dead. Don't worry, you'll be forgiven. So when you say something and your conscience pricks you, then you just know, well, that shouldn't have been said. You can as well make amends later. Do you understand? Yeah. After saying, you can go back to the person and you'll be like, I'm so sorry for saying that, but this is my reason for saying so. But at that moment, you just wanted to escape whatever was coming. But there are people of this school of thought that whatever it is, in the face of any opposition or whatever, persecution, just say what it is, the way it is. That's just what the Bible expects. And I think that is what we should just pass to the next generation. I mean, do not encourage any form of lies or whatever. Don't just encourage your children to lie to protect your image or protect their own image or something. Like the idea of parents telling their kids to cover up for them. I don't think it's actually cool. It's not. So we should know better. That's why we're having this conversation. So that whatever, just train your children to always say the truth, no matter how bitter it might seem to hear at the time. Okay. So another thing I would like to add is that I've seen that lots of people do it, which is interrupting someone while speaking. Okay. I am so very, very conscious of that. I like to relax and let you exhaust yourself. Like just say what you want to say while I'm listening. It's a very bad habit while someone is talking. You just want to jump into the discussion. That's when you see people. I see people that jump into discussions as people that are, oh, what's the word I'll use now? Sofo. Exactly. As in, or intruder. Exactly. I mean, this does not concern you. You're just interrupting. You understand? Okay. Or even if it concerns you, wait and let someone have his or her say before you put in something, and respect people's privacy and confidentiality as well. That is one of the highest principle of communication ethics. Okay. I can't be speaking with you right now. I expect that this stays between us. It has caused lots of problems, enmity between people. But don't you think if you don't say it, that I want this to stay between us, the person then doesn't necessarily owe you that, you know, the person really doesn't owe you that confidence. That keeping it a secret thing. The person does not owe you that because you didn't outrightly tell the person that, oh, I want this to stay between us. See, there are some things I would tell you.
as my friend, as my
subject.
colleague. Exactly. That you should never tell any other person.
Okay.
Besides, it was just the both of us. Why should you go and spread it out to some other people? Especially if you have to mention my name. I mean, it's something personal to me, right?
Okay.
So some people have lost lots of ground. Some people have lost important things because they could not keep things private to themselves.
Okay. Because the person might just be passionate about, you know, maybe making an example out of that.
It's not good.
You told them.
No,
but the moment you have a discussion with someone, but just like you said,
Yeah.
you know, if it's a friend especially, you know, so that's communication etiquette when it has to do with friends. You know, when it's a friend especially, you expect that whatever you tell them, they keep it in confidence, you know, without you telling them outrightly that, no, please, don't tell anybody. But some of them can do it out of being passionate for you. Maybe something else happened somewhere and something similar has happened to you. They can like, oh, thank you. So they can want to make reference to that point and everything because you didn't tell them to keep it. To keep it as a secret. So I don't know. That's why we need to be very sure we are communicating effectively.
Yeah.
Because you might feel like, oh, the person should know now, and they're like, I don't know. And that's what we just talk about, not assuming, you know. So you feel, this person is my friend, so you should know that this is a discussion that stays between us. But the person does not know that it should stay between us. So before you know it, you just go and hear it in the notes. Anyway, we have to go on a break. When we come back, discussion continues. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is to Keep It Simple right on Golf TV, and we're discussing communication etiquette in relationships. And of course, we're speaking from broad perspective. So whether it is a partner relationship, whether it is work relationship, neighbor relationship, family relationship, all encompassing, you know, all of those rules are definitely going to work. All right. So guys, we want to go specific. You know, you feel like there's a communication etiquette that applies at work that necessarily doesn't apply in your home. You know, I think there are etiquette like that. So do we have such etiquettes, or the ones that apply in public places that necessarily don't apply within your friends and yourself? You know, there's a way you can totally express yourself among your friends. You know, you say anything, you say it anyhow. But when you're talking to someone else, you want to
your
be
boss.
Exactly. You know, so what are the do's and don'ts of things like that? You can, of course, you can be very
when
specific.
you get to the office in the morning,
okay,
shake your boss, say, Oga,
how you doing?
Maybe the person already got another job.
Of course, there are rules that applies to the workplace.
Sure.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that you would not have to be yourself. I mean, there are conducive work environment that, yeah, you can be the best of you, but you still, adhere to some spoken and unspoken rules within the confines of the office. So it's just for you to attune yourself to what is obtainable in the workplace.
Sure.
And still be yourself. So we don't expect you to speak to your boss or even your colleague the way you will speak to your mother or your father or your younger sibling at home. So just follow the laid down rules in the workplace. Yeah, whatever is official, treat as official.
Okay.
Then maybe when you have lunch break or you are out of the office space, you can get more informal and just really go beyond work and have other discussions with colleagues, with co-workers. But I mean, when it's time to work, keep it very formal and adhere to whatever rule have been put in place in the workplace.
Okay, let's quickly touch on communicating grievances in the workplace.
Grievances.
Yeah, grievances. You know, your grieved about something. It could be from your colleague or your boss, or so. How exactly are we supposed to communicate all of these things to each other?
Yeah, to your colleague
or your boss. You know, you can.
I want to believe there will be channel of communications in every workplace. So some do strictly emails. Some would have other options. They will explore other options. It could be phone calls, it could be memos, it could be close group, it could be WhatsApp, whatever. I mean, if you have, some could even be a box, suggestion box. Some offices still do that. So whatever options you have available in your workplace, utilize it. Don't be beclouded with your anger or your resentment or whatever it is at that moment, you know, of your anger, because you have a complaint and you just want to throw all caution to the wind and, you know, have an ad boss. I mean, it's not your father's house. Neither is it your company. Even if you are the CEO, there will still be some board of directors that, you know, you're answerable to. So do everything formally, because see, it's not really, it's a formal setting. So you can't just do things and get away with it. Explore the opportunities, the channels that are open that you can use to convey your grievances. And I know it will definitely be taken care of. I mean, there will be follow-ups and you'll get your feedback as expected. So
okay, because the reason why I specifically brought out the workplace is because I understand that within friends it might be easy to communicate your grievances.
Sure.
You know, with family members it's quite easy, you know, but with neighbors it might be a lot easier than the workplace, you know, because we feel, let's just come here and work. I mean, we don't have to be friends. Everybody just stay on your own. Let me do what I have to do. But interpersonal relationship, like, it's very important. And that's why a lot of times when you go for an interview, they want to know about your interpersonal communication, because they know that you'll be with your colleagues for a long period of time. So how exactly are you supposed to communicate how you feel across to them? So I love what you said about that. So for Ricky, let's be a lot more specific. You know, colleagues, let's say be as colleagues, for example, and you know that saying this thing, this person might probably misunderstand what exactly you're saying, and this is what works for you, and what works for the other person might be different. In such a situation, what would you advise the person to do?
I don't get the question.
Okay, like grievances that you take personal, the other person might not take it personal. You know,
how do you address
words that are sensitive to you might not be sensitive to the other person, and the person who doesn't see sensitivity like that might say whatever they want to say, and that is it. So how are you supposed to, I want us to be as practical as possible, how are you now supposed to let the other person know this is exactly how I feel without offending that person? Or is it fine to offend the person? Now let's just finish it.
See, thank God we're talking about communication here. It all still boils down to communication, you understand? If I'm speaking with you right now and you're not understanding me, you keep on doing something that's offending me, I'll get pissed though. I'll get pissed. Initially, for my kind of person, if it's someone I can take to myself, that I can just let go, I will let it go and try to cope with the person. If I cannot do that, then I will call the person's attention to it. Now, if the person fails to realize, still continues it, I have to talk to my supervisor or someone that's above us to call that person to order. You understand? That's just what I would do. That's the main thing. I wouldn't go out angry and start fighting or, you know, exchanging words like that.
You'll be suspended.
Exactly. I mean, it's at the workplace, you understand? So the main thing is that let the person know, first of all. If the person doesn't, then call the attention of someone higher to bring the person to ease our senses.
Okay, all right. So we have to go back. Tell you any last words?
On communication, right?
Yes,
like generally, not just workplace.
Of course.
Well, I think I would just say that try as much as possible to communicate with clarity and do not assume. If you think everywhere is tensed, you might not be able to have meaningful conversation at that time. Take a walk. Just leave. Revisit the issue later when you know temper is down and people can logically converse. So just try as much as possible to stay out of trouble while communicating and communicate with clarity.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Lastly, listen. Listen. Please don't stop listening. Keep listening. You have to listen forever. And don't I know that at times we love to talk more and we want the other person to listen to us, but be that person who wants to listen to other people. Trust me, it helps. If you're not that kind of person, you can pray for that spirit. Trust me, you can get it, definitely. All right, you can join the conversation by leaving the comments right there in the comment section. And if you haven't subscribed, please do that. Well, this is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of the program. We hope you had a beautiful time. The same time next time tomorrow. Yes, same time tomorrow. Make sure you join us. So we see you again from myself, Oluwakemi, Choluwalope, and Rukewe. This is us telling you bye. Enjoy. Wow.